him a shot to do what?
Hello? Hello? Jim, can you hear me, sir?
Bro, I'm here because I definitely saw Bobby Witt Jr. get struck out by Paul Skeens again.
Man, listen.
Play that on a loop.
I just have to make sure real quick. Nate, Brooks, can you guys hear me?
I got you.
Sure can.
You guys can hear me.
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
We've been trying to do this show for a week. But shout out Verizon and shout out Xfinity, who said, I just didn't need internet for the past 4 to 5 days. So that was fucking awesome. That's your first F-bomb of the show. Shout out T-Mobile. Shout out AT&T. You're always welcome on the show. To anybody else that's a provider with Xfinity or Verizon, this isn't Brooks. This isn't Nate. This isn't Jim. This is Mike Hughes. Matter of fact, we'll even do a little solo real quick. Fuck you. Anyways, we're back into it. Welcome to the show. We got a couple dogs in here. We're back. We're better than ever. I'm sure my internet will go out at any point in time because they're listening. They're watching. They got me like, you know, those tinfoil hat dudes who like wear the hats because they don't want the government to know what's going on. That's how I feel right now, Nate. Like, I know you're looking at me crazy, but like, I tried everything, brother. I tried everything. But look, we got a great show. Jim, you're excited. I know you just came out of your little Iceman chamber. I hope
I'm even more excited because the college baseball schedule dropped. Ooh. And I already know when Mississippi State's going to come to Baton Rouge and take L's. So I'm excited to talk about it with these cats.
Man, I'm excited even more, but we got to introduce them real quick. We got Nate Dohm of the New York Mets. Reppin', got the polo on today. I know they gave it to him. Didn't pay a dime, but you can get those at the store, probably $59.99 and your soul. But that's okay. It's a nice polo. And of course, we got the man, the myth, the legend himself, the only man still rocking a mustache on this current show because Nate couldn't handle the smoke. We got Brooks Auger of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, forget Yamamoto. I mean, forget Tyler Glasnow. Forget Ohtani. This is the best arm in the entire Dodgers organization. Welcome to the show, fellas. How we feeling?
Pretty good. I'm liking my introduction so far.
Oh, had to. Well, you know, I would have gave Nate the same one, but the stash is nowhere to be found. Once the stash comes back, I mean, he's a lethal weapon. That's just like Jacob deGrom who? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about? So, but man, look. I wanted to start this episode off talking about the stashes, but I had to switch it up. I had to switch it up a little bit because Nate couldn't come to the dance. He's a wallflower today. He's just hanging out. We know he's about it. We know he can handle it. But I want both of your opinions. Best mustache in baseball currently. Now, if you give yourself the opportunity to grow it out, you can say yourself. But if you're talking guys in the league right now, tell me why it's Paul Skeens. No, I'm playing. Whoever you got.
Well, I think if you say stash, the person that comes to mind is Paul Skeens, just because of how freaking amazing he's there. So like, and like I can't honestly think of anyone else right now because you put that in my mind. So I would say Paul Skeens, huh?
But here's the thing, Mike, you can't rock a stash like that if you're not a baller. Like if you're a mediocre player, you can't pull it off. That's just the rule.
Yeah, you're just weird. You know what I mean? You're just not allowed in the school zone if you have a mustache for no reason. If you're not playing ball, you're just weird. Like that's just point blank, period. Yeah, like Drake might have a mustache for all I know, but you know, it is what it is at the end of the day. Brooks, what do you think, man?
So I think Paul's a close second behind me, but since he is in the bigs, I'll give it to him.
But hey, Mike, you know, throwback. Does Brian Wilson still have the best beard current to date?
I think Dallas Keuchel had a pretty nice beard for a while. I will say that, but I was gonna go with your. I thought you were gonna go a different route with one of your cards. McCullis has a pretty nice stash when he does grow it out. Patrick Wisdom, kind of, you know, when he feels like it. Bro couldn't hit water if he fell off the Titanic on a crisp 1912 night. But you know, it is what it is. He's got a nice stash.
When you talk about Cardinals, you know, it broke my heart. Did you see? I sent it to you. The Tyler O'Neill 2-home run clip. Why did they have to trade my boy? That's like the only Cardinal I cared about anymore.
I'll do you one better. How about this? Tommy Edman couldn't fucking hit shit The entire season, 0. Big donut at September and have no home runs on the year. Has 4 against the Cubs in the last 2 games. Keep smiling, Jim. See how far it gets you. That's fine.
Is that why you really don't want to go to the Cardinals series next week?
It 100% is. Like Tommy Edman.
These guys are not going to respect you. You were supposed to go with me to watch Paul Skeens pitch, and now you're backing out because your Cubs lost to the Cardinals.
I know. Well, actually, the reality of that situation is I got to go handle business with the Chicago Sky, but I would have loved to come. Jim didn't want to come see Paul Skeens in action at Wrigley Field, so this goes both ways. But
he owned y'all.
Listen, this is about. I don't want to talk about that. First of all, shut up. Anyways,
we're talking
no hitter the next night. Get Paul on the show. We got to talk about a no hitter.
I just want to know where Brooks' cowboy hat is what I really just need to know.
That's where we were going.
Where's the cowboy hat, bro? Can't even hear me?
I think we lost him. We might have lost him.
He's staring at his blank.
But he's got better internet. I bet you Nate has AT&T.
So my internet sucks. I'm trying to get it fixed.
Do you have Verizon? That's the real question. And if we don't get an answer, then I get an answer. You know what I mean? Nate's got AT&T. Like, that's just what it comes down to.
I guess we got to move on. Cowboy hat gets no play.
I mean, I guess so. Listen, while we wait for Brooks, Nate, NFL tonight, do you do fantasy football? Are you a part of it this year?
I usually do one with my buddies at home, but like we kind of didn't do that this year. We did one with my family, a couple of people in our extended family.
Yeah, for sure. I'm rocking with it. Listen, man, I'll tell you what. I lost this week. I had the second highest points in the entire league. If I would have played anybody else, I would have won. I lost 141 to 143. Shout out Marvin Harrison Jr. for a whopping 1 point. That was great. That really made me feel great about myself, and I took that man in the second round. So
you like that play of him wide open in the end zone?
You know what my favorite part was about the whole thing? Brooks, can you hear us? Are you with us?
I'm back now. We're good.
All right, really quick, Jim. I just need a minute because Kyler Murray. I'm a Bears fan, fellas. By the way, so what do I know about quarterback play? No idea. Apparently, we had this, the next Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes coming, and I paid $300 for nosebleeds to see Caleb Williams' first game, and he gave me a whopping 93 yards. So I don't know nothing about quarterback play, but Kyler Murray says his job's not to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball. I from 2 professional athletes, I just want your guys' opinion. Is it not your job to throw strikes as a pitcher? Because I was under the impression that was kind of like the main point. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if you guys feel differently from those comments, but from someone who has Marvin Harrison Jr. in fantasy, it messed with my mind just a little bit.
Yeah, that's brutal.
I don't know nothing about that, Mike. I lost because of a kicker that scored 23 points.
Oh, use a Steelers kicker?
Whoever he played for, I just know that no kicker should outscore the position players. Unreal.
Shout out to him. But listen, I Brooks, now that we do have you, though, I do have a question about the cowboy hat. Now, obviously, we've seen a lot of different celebrations with Ohtani and how he goes about his home run celebrations, which is like every other at bat. Obviously, Freeman and Betts do a lot of fun stuff. But as a pitcher, man, how are you going to incorporate the cowboy hat in Major League Baseball? Because we haven't seen a lot of stuff since Trevor Bauer as it comes to, pitchers that just love to have celebrations.
It might be kind of hard because, LA is not really a country town. So might have to pay a couple people some extra money to slide that one through security for me. But I'm sure one day when I get there, we'll find a way to make that one happen. But for now, we're just going to rock without it, I guess. It's too hot out here for it.
It was 100 degrees the other day, man.
It's 116 right now.
Oh, get away from me. Get away from me. I'm wearing a hoodie down here, bro.
Bro, it is a monsoon here right now. We literally have the top part of that tropical whatever. Anyway, it is like that scene from Forrest Gump where it's just raining for days and days and days. That's what it feels like here. But moving on, guys, I do want to, because I haven't got to talk to you guys really since a lot of our guests we've maybe had on second time, or it's been a long gap since college, but kind of putting a, bow on Mississippi State. Nate, I was kind of talking to you before the show. You were rolling, the guy, Friday night guy. You had an injury, you battled back, kind of want to find out where you are in that process, of rehabilitation, how you're feeling and like just how how you are handling the situation since college has been over.
Yeah, it's definitely weird. Like to start off, it's definitely weird having all your buddies back at school now, and you're just kind of sitting in your hotel / like condo that we got here, playing video games. But for me, it's like I I spent a lot of time trying to get back healthy, and I think I rushed it definitely the first time, and then after that came back and still didn't feel 100%, but I wanted to do everything I could to help the team win. And after the season was over, I just prepared for the combine, threw at the combine, and then took time off after that, just let my arm rest. And then when I got down here, they just gave me a long list of things to do every day, little exercises here and there, pre-throw and post-throw, just to kind of build up the forearm strength, shoulder strength, back strength, just making sure everything's healthy. I think now I feel just about as good as I ever have throwing a baseball. I feel strong, which is a big thing. I think a lot of time this year I didn't feel strong with the ball in my hand, and so now kind of in the ramp up process of just getting back into throwing bullpens. I think I threw my 4th pen last week. We had a pen this Saturday. I'm in the pitching lab that they have down here, so that'll be fun.
So he says rush back, Mike, but my dude, he texted me and I was like, hey, you going to pitch this weekend? And he was like, no, I think they're going to hold me off one more week. And then the next week came. I was like, you pitching? He's like, no, they're going to hold me off like one more week. Bro, this man did me the one more week like 8 times talking about he rushed back. I felt like it was an eternity to watch Nate take the mound again. But he did do me a solid. I think he was, trying to be easy on LSU is what was really happening. So, we still couldn't beat them, but nonetheless, whatever.
So we beat y'all without me, too. I didn't throw a single inning that weekend.
Hey, look at him.
So you were like in 2 guys there, and you still got swiped.
Man,
bro, what it is, whatever. But no one smacked
it
did feel like, Mike, it did feel like, because I talked about who's rolling, but like I was waiting for him to get back, and it did feel like it was taking forever. But man, I'm glad that you nonetheless got fully recovered, didn't have a massive injury. And then, Brooks, on the flip side, you were somebody who had a massive injury, waiting forever to play. And then, we jokingly, you had the struggles, through the fall, but you come into the season, you end up falling into the closer role all the way into Hoover, where you just put on a performance of a lifetime, man, and became a guy that they could really go to in clutch moments. So, man, just talk about that, going from, the injury to kind of working your way into being somebody that they could rely on.
Yeah, I'm going to leave out the couple parts we were having conversations about prior to this starting. We're going to leave those out. But, 18 months or whatever it was of rehab, just sitting there on my hands, watching everyone else play, showing up in the field, doing my own stuff and leaving. It got real repetitive and it got real hard. And I think there was just so much adrenaline and so much emotion for when I first got back, and such a big high expectation I had for myself. And I just sucked off fall. It was awful. I mean, probably the worst fall I've ever had in my life. Nate, you can laugh and attest to it too. It's not going to hurt my feelings. But just trying to work through so many new things, new pitching coaches, new mechanics, just didn't really click for me. And it really did take until probably a couple weeks into the spring to kind of really get going and really kind of set myself a role that I liked and was comfortable with and got consistent. And like you said, it leading all the way up to the SEC tournament when I got a couple spot starts here and there, like at Bandy. Found out that morning we got to the field and they walked up and handed me 2 baseballs. And it was, you got the game. And I was like, well, that's nice to know. So I don't know, kind of being put on the spot has always helped me a little bit. Even SEC tournament, I found out the night before that I was starting that game. And I don't know, just kind of found that living in the moment helped me succeed the best when I needed to, rather than having so much time to plan ahead and prepare and overthink and what am I going to do in these situations. It's just, we've played the game for so long, like take this baseball and just sling the crap out of it. So I think that kind of helped me once I broke through the barrier of rehab and following a rule book into just playing the game again. I mean, that's kind of where it flipped script for me and I started kind of having my success again.
Yeah, I mean, for pitchers, right, it's a confidence thing, right? And I remember talking to you early, and you didn't have that same confidence that I forgot what met up for the NIL with the clothes in the parking lot, and you had a sense of confidence about you that was different. You told me you were feeling really good and that you liked the role that you were in. So, like, you know, I think that played a lot into it. You got confident, but Mike, man, this game that he's talking about in Hoover, I'm trying to look it up right now because how many balls was it?
I think Nate knows. I think Nate knows.
He had more strikeouts than he had balls thrown, right? And
right. I know that, but I was trying to remember the exact number of balls because that was here because he struck out, like you said, more. Let's see. I'm trying to figure it out. I think
Nate knows. I think Nate has it on his.
Nate dropped it.
He had 12 or 13 punchies and like 10 or 11 balls thrown.
Disgusting.
78 pitches. It was the single greatest pitching performance I've ever seen in my entire life, and he just looked like a straight killer out there.
It was unreal, and it was cool, you know, being that I know Brooks waited, and you look on social media or you hear the commentators just talking about how unreal this guy is. Like, you know, everybody just, like, to Nate's point, just, man, this is the most unreal performance I've seen. But it was crazy because I've seen plenty of strikeout performances. It was the ratio that we're talking about. The dude was painting the whole time, and that's something that Brooks always has talked about, right? Like,
yeah,
you're not going to get nowhere by not challenging them, right? Throwing strikes. And I think a lot of people try that, but it really shows how difficult it is in this game. You could want to throw strikes every time. That doesn't mean you're going to.
I remember the stat line. I don't want to be the guy that tells it, but if you want to know, I can
say it.
You can go ahead. No, you know, he's not gaslighting. We asked the question. He's just bringing it up.
8 innings, 78 pitches, 13 Ks, no walks, and 12 balls thrown.
So I was right there.
I think it was like, yeah. I was like, I think I had thrown like 26 to 28 or something strikes.
Mike, he's trying to be humble. I get it tattooed on me and let everybody know. Bro.
I think Nate has it tattooed on his forearm because he remembered that exact quote. No.
I did find out after the fact I had an immaculate inning, so that was kind of sick.
No, yeah, for sure.
Our guest, Jonathan Bolin from the first episode of this season on Pros and Joes, he had one in the AAA game against the Redbirds here in Memphis. And, man, it's one of those things that I think an immaculate inning is pretty underappreciated. I mean, you got to be just locked in. But, Mike, you know something I thought about going back to Nate? I meant to ask it, but I was in such a hurry to ask the other question. He said playing video games. And you know what I'm wondering, Mike? What have we learned about pitchers? What do they do when it comes to video games?
Call of Duty.
Is it a first player or one player shooter game? What are you playing?
Always. It's Call of Duty, baby.
No, I don't really play COD. I used to play COD all the time, but I haven't really liked any of the new games. So I got to say I'm not a big COD guy. I'll play some Rocket League, soccer, like car soccer game, and Sea of Thieves, which is a pirate game. I really
You just don't got that killer mentality that the rest of the pitchers got. I don't know. That's a little – Nate, I'd have liked it better if you told me you were dropping bodies.
That's a crazy statement right there.
That's a crazy statement. Oh, man. But how about you, Brooks? What you think?
Lately, I've been on some Fortnite. We got a little group that plays every afternoon.
Marvel season?
I don't know. I'm not a big fan. I kind of want to go back to the OG Fortnite.
Oh, dude, we were kind of talking about that with me and my boys, and I was like, what if they did both? You know, like you could play the new season if you want to, but if you just want to play the OG version, you can do that too. Like how they do like the zero build. And I was like, but hey, man, they don't pay me to think, so you know, it's
Mike,
not in my conversation.
I have yet to hear of anybody who can, when we're talking about guys. College guys, but now falls within them that got drafted. Nobody can beat, from what I understand, in Fortnite. Drew Beam, QB1 from Tennessee.
Team is
I'm gonna get him on them sticks against Brooks. We're gonna see what's up. We're gonna see if he can play.
I'm down for that.
But Brooks, are we building, Brooks? Real quick, Jim. This is an important question. Are we in builds? Or no build?
I prefer builds. All my friends don't. So. Here lately, I haven't been doing.
I'm a no build guy, bro. I can't lie to you,
Mike. I've never played either of those games. Mike, Jeremy,
I don't like getting shot and not be able to protect myself,
bro. Bro. Jim, we're trying to put you on some youth right now, bro. You got.
No, I play Madden, dude.
But could you imagine, bro? You take one shot at somebody from 40 yards away, and they build Trump Towers in a span of 2.5 seconds. Like it's fucked up. Like I'm like. Well,
dude, let me ask you a question. Is that more impressive than the fact that I could use the Chicago Bears and beat people because they're trash and I could still win?
I mean, I don't know, man. Better than y'all boys in Tennessee. Tell you that.
I'm not a Tennessee guy. Who was that directed at?
I mean, you
My
there?
team
You
won
there?
by-
You there? Right? You
My
there?
team
Right?
no, I live in Mississippi. My team had the largest margin victory in the NFL.
I don't care. You know.
Anyway,
enjoy
moving
Spencer
on.
Rattler. Anyway,
I got a question for you guys. Starting with Nate. Now that y'all have moved on, and you can give somebody, tip that cap and give them their due. Who is the best hitter you faced, on your own team, in inter squads and scrimmages? Who would you say was the hardest guy that you had to face?
I think there's like a 1A and 1B, and I think Brooks can attest to this. It's freaking Beans and Murph, man. I could not get those guys to strike out ever, and Murph was just impossible to get out at period. It felt like, and then if you made a mistake to Dakota, it was gone. But honestly, I didn't feel like he was. For me personally, he wasn't the most challenging hitter to face. It was a guy like Bryce Chance or like Murph that just passed almost.
Well, I went and watched Montgomery against Rocket City in the first two games. I saw Murph hit. He went 3 for 4. It was crazy to see him already killing it in Double-A, and I was like, but that's that dude, right? He's always done that. And then as far as Dakota, I did a thing. They had a collection of 80s pictures of Bo Jackson the other day, and you know how they call him Baby Bo Jackson. I put a picture of Dakota flexed out that looked very similar to the Bo Jackson picture, and I sent it to Daniel, and he goes, "It's a very accurate description.
Yeah.
Dude's yoked."
Yeah, he is.
That's a specimen. That's just genetic right there.
He was born in a lab, brother. He was born in a lab.
He may end up being one of the biggest steals. I couldn't believe how far he fell down the draft board.
He still got paid though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's all we care about at the end of the day, Mike. It's all about the money, right?
Yeah, no. Hey man, Mets, Cubs, Oakland A's, or whatever they want to call themselves now. I don't know what's going on 2025. It don't matter, baby. As long as you're getting that money, that's all that matters.
But I got one more question. We'll get into all things minor league and draft day and all that. Just putting a cap on college. I got to know this. I wore the hat to mess with y'all. I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Most people would think it's Ole Miss, but who was more fun beating, Ole Miss or LSU?
Ole Miss. Not even a question. Yeah.
I figured it was because y'all did it back-to-back years, and just beating Ole Miss is a regular thing for Mississippi State. LSU, however, is not, and it's a bigger deal because y'all's fan base has been able to give it to me, including my own son, for the last couple of years. So I don't know. I figured maybe you'd say it, Brooks, because you were still sad about when Dylan Cruz took you yard for the go-ahead in the 9th inning.
Yeah,
bring that up.
It's history. It is what it is.
Hey, what did Brooks? What did I tell you, Brooks?
Live in the past.
Look. Hey, Mike. It was his own fault. Can I tell you something? I didn't even remember that it was him that was pitching until he said something to me. It was his own fault because I was so focused on the ball leaving the yard, I didn't even remember who threw it.
He's just unbothered, bro. He just doesn't. He don't care. It just Dylan who? What?
I really am surprised. I really am surprised though, because Ole Miss has became such an easy series for y'all year to year that I figured I would honestly say LSU. But
you think a Dodger is worried about a national right now, bro?
I'll say this, boys. You know how everything in the SEC is changing.
Tell him, Brooks. Yeah.
Hey, everything in the SEC is changing. So the schedule came out today. So you have your permanent opponents. You got the new ones. Dude, LSU doesn't even play Ole Miss this year. And I was like, this is so weird. And each year it's gonna be like that. There's gonna be teams that you've played every single year. It's just like in football this year, right? LSU and Mississippi State didn't play. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's weird.
LSU is kind of a rivalry with us, but not to the same extent that us and Ole Miss is it's just deep in the blood. It's history of the state kind of thing.
Right.
And like you said, we haven't lost to them in 10, 12 years or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's bigger because that's a tradition at this point. It's a lot more on the line when it comes to playing them versus LSU kind of thing,
I feel like I'm on an episode of Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp right now, bro. There's just strays left and right. But I'll leave this.
You gonna bring up Shannon Sharp today?
Huh?
You gonna bring
Yeah,
up
I
Shannon
am.
Sharp today?
Yeah, I mean, Grizzly Bear, Shannon Sharp. How about it?
What was her name? It's
Michelle.
Michelle.
yeah,
Shout
his
out,
Michelle.
shout out. Hey, what did Cat Williams say? Just happy it wasn't Michael. It was Michelle. Confirmed. We love him. But let's get into it, man. Nate, man, we want to talk to you a little bit about draft day. What we love about, when we go from in off the bench to pros and Joes is kind of the transition from, just a young man with a stash in college ball to, man, I'm getting a phone call from a Major League Baseball team. So you're taking 82nd overall by the New York Mets, big New York. We love to see it. Where were you on draft day, man? Who was around you? We got some people telling us that they were at the gym. They don't even care. We got other people saying they're glued to the TV. I know by that reaction, I could imagine you had a little celebration.
Yeah. So the night before, like first day, we had like a ton of family and friends over, had a good little party, just kind of like celebrating the achievement. Outside chance of getting picked up late in the second round. So that was like a plus if that happened. Obviously it didn't. I think I was frustrated just looking back at the year and not being able to play and kind of how that affected things with the draft. And I think I slept an hour that night, and then got up early, went golfing with my dad, started playing well, and then I had like 5 holes in a row where I played terrible. And like my dad and I, we pulled to the side, let a couple people play through us, and we were like talking, and like he's like, it's gonna be all right. Like no matter what happens today, and I know you're frustrated about what's happened in the last day and how you weren't taken where you've always dreamed of being taken, but like you've worked so hard, like it just doesn't, like the process is gonna stay the same once you get there. So like it's just gotta happen, and then you're good. And so we had a couple aunts and uncles over. My girlfriend was in town. We were just in the back patio, had the TV on back there, and started the draft broadcast. And then like literally 2 minutes after the draft started, I got a call. And they're like, yeah, will you take 800 from the Mets? I was like, shit, yeah. Yeah, so I was, and then I didn't tell my parents who it was or where. So I let the TV show pop up with my name and all that stuff. So I had like a genuine reaction to it, which was pretty sweet.
That's dope. Now you did kind of talk about, you don't have to if you don't want to, but you said you had an ideal spot to where you did want to go. Is it safe to talk about that, or is that, hey, life goes on?
Well, I mean, life does go on, and you gotta. I mean, there's so much stuff out of your control in life, and I think in that moment I got caught up thinking about like what could have been and how I mean, everybody wants to be a first rounder, but I knew what could have been if I didn't have an injury and missed so much time. And I think for me that was really frustrating to get past and hard, because that's something I dreamed of since I was a little kid. Like I've always wanted to be a professional baseball player. There's never been a doubt in my mind. And so I think for me it was just understanding that that's not what it is now, and it is what it is, and you have to. I mean, I still have to. I'm so grateful for where I was taken, and I'm grateful to be a New York Met. I think they have a great organization. They have they brought a lot of new people in, and I think they have a lot of great minds. So I'm really excited.
I mean, dude. I mean, Jim. We saw you asked him earlier. I think if we have Nate on a year from now, the conversation's completely different. You got Ronald Acuna Jr.'s little brother over there. You got big old Gilly Goo over there. Obviously, Drew Gilbert got traded over there. So I mean, the sky's the limit. And if I don't know if I'm speaking for you, but like obviously when we talked about that, the ideal spot was really just the first round. It wasn't a specific other team. That's what I took from it, right? It was just mainly just being a first round pick, which is completely understandable. Brooks,
Mike, you were talking. Hold on, before you get in there, Mike. You were talking about where you're at and everything. There's a couple guys who slid way down, further down, because he only went from, he wanted to be first. He was at the start of the third. The reason I'd have to be one of those guys that just went about my normal day is because, man, God help anybody who's around me if I'm a guy who thought I was going in the first and I ended up going in like the seventh, because we've had guys like that. And, man, the anxiety and the stress and it just wouldn't be fun. I'd have to just go about my day.
No, most definitely. It's a weird process as somebody who tapped out during JUCO, because I was chilling.
Well, like I can bring up I'm trying to think, was Cameron our first episode of Pros and Joes season 1? Was Cameron and Landon, or were they episode? No, they're like episode 3. It don't matter. Anyway, we didn't ask Cameron that question, and I ducked it on purpose. Cameron was called by the Dodgers and told he was going to be taken in the 9th round. He ended up going in the 15th round to the Rays, and that's my exact thing. Yeah. Like, I can only imagine what Cameron went through. Like, that's got to be a sickening feeling.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's definitely a crazy thing. But like I said, boys, you could be worse. You could be Mike Hughes. You could have tapped out in JUCO. So shout out to him. Little 800K. Get over it. You know what I mean? Rub some dirt on it, Nate. I don't want to hear this shit. I'm playing. But Brooks, man, you're looking at the 6th round. Obviously, the dream is always obviously a 1st round pick. Like that's always every kid's dream. But you're going to Los Angeles Dodgers, brother. So first, can you kind of take us through where you were? Same thing. Who'd you have around you? Did you care? Did you not care? By round 6, you're kind of just okay. Well, whatever happens. If we get the call, we'll see what happens. So where were you at? Who did you have in your corner?
Yeah, I'm kind of more on the opposite of the spectrum. Like, I mean, obviously there's always like you want to be a 1st rounder, but I feel like I view myself as like a realist. Is what I call myself. So like, I expect to get drafted. I expect to go in a certain round, but I was never like putting all my hopes into it just for them to get crushed. So like my family was trying to plan a party and do all this stuff. And I was like, no, I was like, I'd rather just stay at the house, watch the draft. Whenever it happens, if it happens, we can go out and eat. We can go hang out, family, do whatever. So we ended up just going to my sister's house because there's like no Wi-Fi where I live whatsoever. It's pretty crappy.
Me neither, brother.
And yeah, so I went to my sister's. And I had a couple teams call me, 5th round, 6th round, and I had 2 or 3 teams that told me, hey, we're going to try to get you right here, and passed. So, like, I was kind of, like, on that, like, I went from sitting down on the couch just watching it with my stuff pulled up to standing in the kitchen, like, with my hands on my head, just, like, trying not to throw up everywhere, just that, like, sickening feeling in my stomach. And it turns out that my sister was on the computer and it was reading faster than the TV was. So everyone over there knew that I was getting picked before it ever showed up. I was the last one to find out. And about that time, like, it's like an 89th pick, my phone rings and it's like the Dodgers guy. And he's like, hey, congrats. And they hadn't even read it off on the TV yet. So I was the last one. I was way behind on the TV. But, I mean, it was just like a sigh of relief of like, I've been passed 2 or 3 times here. And it's funny, too, because going into that day, there was about 3 or 4 teams that I had really talked to a lot. And I had gone up to Oregon to hang out for a couple of days before that. And I did a Zoom call with them, with Rob and Coach Crescent. And I got off that call, and I just had a really good feeling. I called my dad, and I was like, I just have a really good feeling that I'm going to be a Dodger. And this was a week before the draft ever happened. And, like, that morning I just kind of said the same thing again. We're in the car driving over, and I was like, I'm going to put money on it, 6th round to the Dodgers. And, I mean, I called it straight up, just kind of how it happened. And then after the fact, I looked back at it, I was like, man, that's God's hand that I kind of called it. It all worked out the way it's supposed to. I didn't fall further than I wanted to. I mean, I could have gone higher. That would have been great too. But I fell right exactly where I kind of expected to. And I got it over with because I'm such like I said, I was just like shaking of just like, I need this to be done. As soon as my name's called, I can go on with my day, go on with my business. But until that happens, like, I'm just suffering inside, just wondering what could happen.
Could have been worse. You could have been the one prank called,
Oh my God.
Shout out.
I probably would have killed somebody. I never would have talked to that person again.
And for legal reasons, I'm going to say twice, Brooks does not want to kill anybody, and he also didn't bet on where he was going to go. So we're going to get both of those things out of the way right now. But, Jim and I could have assisted in anything you needed. I'm just going to put it right there. Anyways, but, Jim's ex-military, and I'm from Chicago, so it's basically the same thing. But, it is what it is.
Look, hey, the funniest thing you said to me about the Chicago thing, Mike, when I said something about that day about watching Chicago PD, and you told me, which for people who don't watch Hank Voight, the lead character, you were like, he couldn't last 10 minutes on my street.
Hank Voight over here just dog walking the entire west side of Chicago on this TV show. And I'm like, this 5'8" man is not walking up to anybody and just like, he just be beating the shit out of people. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what is this show? And then Chicago Fire, I'll tell you what, I grew up around a firehouse, man. My uncle, man, shout out to him. We grew up there all the time doing stuff. For whatever reason, in the entire city on this show, in 11 seasons, I've only seen one fucking engine go to all these fires. It could be the biggest fire in the world. There's only one fucking truck that pulls up. And I'm like, where's the rest of the city? Like, nah, we're off today. We're on furlough. We're off. I don't get it. Doesn't make sense. Bullshit. Anyways, let's get back into it.
I love the tangent I got you on right there.
Yeah, don't start it. Don't even. I don't even want to get into it. They have Chicago medics or Chicago med, and this guy has a pole through his chest, and he's just having a normal conversation, like he's just fucking chilling. I don't even want to talk about it. Anyways, we're gonna get back into it. Nate, man, you've had some time. You've digested the league, minor league baseball, everything going on. Obviously, there's been some setbacks. But for you, man, who has been somebody you've been able to pick the brain of thus far, or who's somebody that you're looking forward to pick the brain of in future years, whether that's in the show, AAA, AA, wherever?
Yeah, so our FCL complex coach is really great, Baker. He's been awesome to work with. He's got great ideas of like what he wants to do with pitch design, where to go forward with like all my whole arsenal as a whole. Kind of messing around with a new changeup and stuff like that. But I'm like a player I really want to like. I'm really interested to talk to would be like Brandon Sproat and like what he did in this last year to kind of make the jump that he has, because it's really impressive. And that's the kind of guy I mean, he did it in the SEC, and then watching him do what he's doing now is really impressive. So that's somebody I would like to kind of pick their brain and get to know kind of what makes him go, you know.
For sure. Brooks, for you, man, obviously who's somebody you've been able to pick the brain of over the last year. And then for the future, you could just explain to me why it's Shohei Ohtani, I guess. You know, I mean, if you tell me it's Dustin May, I'm going to end this fucking live right now. Like, I'll just tell you straight up. Like, no.
I say, I mean, obviously there is Shohei and Yamamoto and all those guys that are big names between like Glasnow and all those guys. But, I mean, I've bumped into a couple bigger name guys, but, like, they're kind of coming in crossing with injuries and stuff. And I don't want to get in what they're doing and trying to get back out of here. But our pitching staff are, like, the guys who are running the minor leagues between Rob Hill and Brent Menta and some of those guys. Like, our entire staff is just unreal. I've never been a big driveline guy. Like, I've never really just bought into throwing weighted balls and all this just dynamic stuff. But the vast majority of our guys worked at driveline, and they all have this similar idea of max effort, throw the ball as hard as you can, and we're going to figure it out from there kind of thing. And Nate probably knows, I don't think I cracked an 88 in a bullpen in my life, just naturally. Like, I've just never had the adrenaline or like the push to do it. Not that I didn't try, but just naturally couldn't. I had a 93 in a bullpen the other day for the first one. I was like, this is just whatever they're doing here with me is working. And I mean, if I could spend as much time as I can underneath these guys while I have the chance here before we get sent out in the spring, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be in their back pocket as best as possible.
What you're talking about right now, thinking about, us being in season 3, Mike, you know what this reminds me of exactly? He said exactly what Chase Dollander said when he first got to Colorado. Look at Chase Dollander this year. Yeah, absolutely thriving. So what bro's talking about, and what did he say? It was all about slowing down, right? He felt like versus college where everything was sped up, everything was slowed down, and you can take the time to figure out and tweak everything and not be rushed to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like
with college.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead. I got it.
I was about to say, the way I looked at it, the way like looking back at it now, like, been out of college for 2 months, 3 months. Yeah. College is such a quick turnaround business, and like JUCO's even worse. Of like you bring in these guys with this super talent that you want them to do, and they have to perform while they're there. Whereas the minor leagues and professional ball is you're trying to develop these guys to get to your pro team, and like you have more time to work with them in that sense. So like you're saying, you can slow down and work on things. You can maneuver and work on specific aspects rather than let's just keep him healthy and not mess with him too much so that he can keep performing week in and week out during our 65-game college season. Whereas here you've got 300 and however many guys on your entire roster that can be fluctuated around if you need specific time to – go back to Florida where Nate's at, or come out to Arizona where I'm at, or move up or down a level. It's just kind of it's a different way the business runs. And I mean, having that has, significantly worked for me. I'm sitting in live ABs. I'm even throwing in the game, and I'm sitting 4-5, which is what I sat in SEC Hoover, the biggest game of my life. And I'm doing that with 10 people watching me throw on a backfield right now.
Yeah.
So like just the way they work things around here is just so much deeper and helps significantly more because you kind of have that time to work with it.
Mike, that makes me so excited because these dudes were all studs, before.
Yeah.
With all of them working on their craft and getting better. Like, man, I feel like sky's the limit.
Well, it's weird for me, man, because it's like we talk about it all the time, especially just that jump from college to the pros. And it really goes from who's the best athlete on the field to who's mechanically sound and who's working on off-speed stuff and who's trying to be the best version of themselves every single day. Like, I can't speak for any Mississippi ball because y'all made it way farther than me. But I'll tell you about JUCO. It's just a bunch of dudes who throw 95 that just either didn't have good grades or couldn't stop smoking weed. So, like, you really can get a lot of these guys, it's really just, and there are others who just didn't get offers. I ain't saying it's everybody, you know what I mean?
Hey, because you were on his original episode, actually, because you did a step in and fill on Pro. You remember that Ben Joyce started at JUCO.
I did. That's why it doesn't happen to everybody. I ain't saying Ben's on dope. I'm just saying there's a lot of guys.
His was he hit a 9-inch growth spurt his senior year, and he was already committed there, so he honored it, which most dudes wouldn't even do.
I've been fucking out of there, bro. I'm not. You're fucking.
Bro, you go to the SEC. Bro. I'm out.
Man, I went to one little JUCO thing in Iowa for like 5 minutes, and it was me and a bunch of Dominican dudes in the middle of Iowa, and none of them spoke English, and I was like, I gotta go. This ain't it. And it wasn't even them. It was Iowa. I was just like, I'm from Chicago. We're not doing this. This is horrible. But it is what it is. The only thing that comes out of Iowa is obviously the Field of Dreams and Jeepers Creepers. So I don't want to rock with either of those things after you see the Field of Dreams once. But man, look, I'm so proud of both of you guys for everything you guys have been able to accomplish. Before I hand it to Jim, I do want to ask one question to both of you going into 2025 or just this off season as a whole. I know you guys got a chart or a board, whatever, of everything you want to work on, but what's something you want to not master, but just really get in your repertoire going into next season?
I think for me, it's just like my changeup has been like a big work in progress over the last year for me. And like that pitch is like, if I want to take myself to another level, I think I got to get that down and get it to be what I want it to be. But then like goals through the off season, I've kind of just told myself, I want to see how good I can get. Like every day, doing everything I can every single day. Like what can I do today to get myself to where I need to be ready to go when spring training rolls around, be ready to compete, be ready to dominate.
How about you, Brooks?
Obviously I was out of the pen for the longest time, so I was only really relying on 2 pitches. And it wasn't until I kind of got pushed into that starter role that I even started throwing a changeup. But in the past 3 weeks, they're like, hey, let's just try to throw curveball and cutter and this and that. And just playing catch on the field, we've kind of developed some stuff. I threw a cutter the other day that was 17 vert, -3. And they were like, yeah, you're going to keep throwing that because that's pretty gross. So for me, I think a lot of it's just developing pitches that are significantly different so that I'm not just kind of pounding the zone with the same 2 things over and over again. I think that can really help me keep hitters off balance as well as maybe strike out 15 next time. You never know how that might turn out. But
Exactly, for sure. Jim, I always say, man, it's you said what?
And you were talking about handing over to me, but I'm surprised you ain't talked about it yet. This is the first time that we've had a pair of guests that are actually coming from winning teams, so we could actually talk about the pro teams. Because usually it's kind of tough because there's somebody who's on a good organization and somebody who's on the trashiest, and it's you don't want to bring up pro ball because it's we'll talk about the dumpster fire it is, but both them are coming from organizations that are absolutely fun to watch.
No, for sure. It's listen. I'm not gonna sit here and say the Mets organization is the Chicago Cubs, but
how many they end up winning?
Nate, I'm kidding. Nate, please. Nate, please.
Mike,
you took the last wild card spot, brother. Let me have this. Let me have 5 seconds, please.
Mike, how many did they win in a row? I know they were at 9 at one point.
Fucking no. All I know is the beginning of the year, Cashman was like, all these guys were like, nah, the Mets aren't about it. They're not doing it. It's a rebuilding year. And here they are with the OMG signs, and they're fucking in the playoffs. And my Cubs are sitting here 3 years into this rebuild. And all I have to show for it is, hey, Anthony Rizzo came back for 3 minutes. That was cool. But
dude, first of all, you had a blast with that. But I'm gonna take over this because you're way too salty for this segment. Nate, talking about the Mets, any team that wins 9 in a row brings a lot of excitement in the sport altogether. It doesn't even have to be a fan of the team. You get on exciting runs. As a matter of fact, like September 3rd was the anniversary of the Oakland A's team that had won 20 straight. So, as a Mets, someone who's a part of the Mets organization, and you look up and you see the team bringing that kind of excitement, man, how much fun is that for you to watch and know that you're in a way part of that?
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. First off, I'd like to say I think Lindor should win the MVP this year.
Look at him endorsing his guy.
He plays defense. Can't say that for the other guy. And you watch games and you look at the environment at Citi Field and how amazing like that atmosphere is there. I mean, I could not wait to play there. There's that feeling. But also, so like we do group meetings every day and we go through like sequences and pitches that the guys in the big league team throw, and like we get to watch kind of their stuff and how it plays and how they kind of go about attacking hitters. So that's really cool too, is we get to have like a more in-depth view of like how the big league pitchers work and what their arsenals are like and how good their pitches really are, and if they aren't, like how they make them work, because not everyone has the most plus pitches, so sometimes you got to work around that and pitch and be a real pitcher.
Hey, I got a question while I'm thinking, because I watched the Mets game the other night. Nate, if you would have got to wear one of the hats to represent for 9/11, you going FDNY? Are you going, the police department? You going? They had the medics. They had like 5 different hats. Which one you rock? Because I love it because they got choice of which one they wanted to wear.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I think I would go FDNY. I think that one. I think that for me would be the right call in that situation. But that's such a cool thing that they got to choose which hat they wanted to wear to represent. Like that's I feel like that's such a big moment and so cool.
I feel like I would have had to go for the medic, Mike, because everybody was going to go for the police department or the fire department. I'm like, somebody got to do it for the little guys.
Oh man, come on. But listen, bro, this is one of the more important questions. I wanted to get into it with you. Obviously, you said it once. We got Lindor for an MVP vote right here for the National League. But, you look across the other side and it's a dogfight right now. Everyone's trying to just hand it to Judge. Best player in baseball. Are you giving it to Francisco Lindor after this season?
That's a tough question. I mean, you got to look at how.
I'm glad we're talking Lindor against Judge instead of your boy Bobby Witt, so I don't have to hear you go through that.
Love Bobby. Hey, listen, I bet they would both agree. Bobby's great. It's just, when you look at the numbers, Judge is.
They both said they'd strike out Bobby Witt also. That's what they told me.
Listen, you know what? And until I see it, I can't.
Anyway, back to Lindor.
Hey, listen, bro. Nate, what do you think, brother?
I gotta always rep it, man. Lindor's the best player in baseball. The way he's able to compete in the box. I mean, they were getting no hit yesterday, and he hit a bomb to tie up the game in the ninth. I mean, that's a huge clutch play right there. His defense is unreal. Just an all around amazing player. I think that's why, in my opinion, he is the best player in baseball.
No, for sure.
Mike, dude, how awesome is that? He even brings up yesterday's game, throwing some of these cats we have on the show under the bus, they're not watching, right? And it disappoints me and Mike. We're like, you're not even watching your own team. And so to hear you're watching last night and you're standing up for your boy from your organization, I don't know, man. Tickles the heartstrings, Mike. I don't know.
It's crazy. Brooks, wait, Jim, I do want to ask Brooks a question because
I was going to go, hey, look, he threw shade. Notice Nate threw shade at the other guy because the other guy comes from his organization across the way.
Hey, he ain't even worried about that. He worried about a World Series. But look, at the end of the day, I do want to ask Brooks this question because I do think it's pretty interesting. Obviously, we're going to go fast forward a little bit to 2025 post-spring training. Obviously, the Cubs are taking on the Dodgers in Japan. How special is that for you to know that, that this type of scenery is now being seen at a global level? Now we're trying to expand the game, grow the game on a farther level. I think they stole that hashtag and that line from Jim, if I had to say so myself. He's been growing the game. But you got the Cubs versus Dodgers in Japan. Well, you know, whether you're there or not, just to be able to say that that's the future, that you could potentially play a game out of this country. What does that mean for you?
See, I think it's pretty sick too, though. Is I grew up a Cubs fan. My dad was a Cubs fan. I was a Cubs fan. I was with them in the blows back before they won it. You know, I was there. I wasn't a bandwagon. I didn't jump on after.
A lot of people are. You watched them on WGN, didn't you?
Hey man, no one's talking to a Cardinals fan right now.
But yeah, so and then they get picked up by the Dodgers. I mean, just to have the two teams that, like, number one, the one I grew up with, and then the one that I'm playing for now, getting to do that, I think that's pretty neat. I don't know. I feel like just here recently, the past couple of years, like, you got Green Bay going out, you got Florida State going out, and just trying to branch out and expand the game. Well, obviously, the game of baseball is a worldwide sport, but I mean, to expand our region out, I think is pretty sick.
No, for sure.
Throwing sign language over there, I love it.
I'll tell you what, though, Jim, I was actually praying for our brothers up north, because I'm not rocking with Green Bay ever, but they sent them boys to Brazil. Brazil told the NFL, don't let none of those motherfuckers wear green. And what did Roger Goodell say? I'm going to send the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers, and they're both going to wear green. And I was like, you're fucking ridiculous.
That's real talk, Mike. Look, the first time I went to Brazil when I was in the military, and I was wearing the wrong color jersey, I was immediately told by a dude on the corner to lose that. And I was like, man, I just got this from the soccer store. And I just went and brought it around. And he was like, you on the wrong side of town for that. Like, you literally could die wearing that. I'm like, damn, this is crazy.
Then there's the Chicago Cats, bro. They're like, hey, bro, what size are you on? I'm my size. I'm my size, big. Let me not say that one. I'm not going to slip that one on the show.
Yeah, don't do
But
that.
we don't
Look,
care.
here's the question I got. Here's the question I got for Brooks. And this is where I thought you were talking about going, because you said 2025. And, you don't know where I'm going. Who would you be more intimidated by in the box? Mookie or Shohei?
Tommy
you got
Edman.
700 million versus 300 million. But I don't know. I feel like Mookie, obviously, I mean, he's a hitter, but Shohei would be the one that would probably take my head off with a comebacker. So I think power-wise, that would be a little bit more intimidating to be thrown against. But either way, I'm probably just going to burn fastballs up and in and just hope they get out the way.
Let me tell you about the legend of Max Muncy, brother. You don't even know what's coming for you in BP. He's come now.
No, but hey, since we brought up the global thing, I do want to bring this back up, Mike, from a few weeks ago, because we got guys who are so involved the way they are. We had talked about in real time when they had made the announcement for the 2028 Olympics, bringing baseball and softball into it for you guys. And I'll start with you, Brooks. I was already talking. How exciting is that? And with that, do you think it should be a mix of college and pro guys? Like, how would you go about it if you were like over the top of it?
I don't know. I mean, because like you already got all the Team USAs. You got the college one, the whatever. You got the USBC, whatever, the World Championship. Yeah. And I don't know. I think it would kind of be interesting to see, like, you go back a couple years where Paul Skeens was still playing in college, seeing him get to play with some people like, I don't know, like say Kershaw when he was in his prime, like someone of that nature. Like, you got guys from different, I don't know, decades playing together potentially. I think that'd be kind of neat, but I think it all comes down to just who's the best. I mean, I would love if I ever got to play for that. That'd be kind of sick. But realistically, I mean, like whoever makes it,
don't ever make the right one. Say something all sad. Don't do that on here.
But let me add, this one's for both you guys really quick, because just like we talked about flag football the other week, and we said that we're not going to say names, but somebody thinks they're better than Patrick Mahomes at flag football, whatever. Give him 15 minutes. He'll know the rules, buddy. It's not that hard. But when you look at USA softball, do you think it would be dope to obviously just have a bunch of random Joes on the show, to really just be their best versions of themselves at the highest level? Or would it be better having a 45-year-old Ken Griffey Jr. ripping some 16-inch slow pitch softball? Like, I'm thinking some of the retired guys. Let's bring in Sammy. Let's bring in Mark McGuire, Ken Griffey. What do you guys, how should softball work? Should it be a bunch of retired MLB players or just guys from the street?
I think publicity in that standpoint would be kind of sick for the slow pitch, especially when it comes to real baseball. You got to pick who's the best. But
of course,
softball. I mean, I would love to watch. So
you're saying, all right. So let me ask Nate first, since he ain't got weighed in on this, because you said who's the best. But Nate, would you go from a best from a college standpoint, or would you go pro? Which one would you rather see in the Olympics?
I think you got to go pro because they have so many more years of experience. They're better players overall. I think there's a lot of talent in college. I mean, you see it every weekend in the SEC, but I think that you got to go with the pros because there's a reason they're getting paid so much to do what they do. That they've been doing it for years, every single day. I think with college, you have so much extra BS that you have to deal with. Just with
the reason why I kind of asked is if you go back to like the Miracle on Ice and he had the college kids, but it's something. Look, the reason why I like college sports more across the board is just the passion that the players have, and I feel like that would carry over into USA. I feel like you guys, in college would be more proud to wear that red, white, and blue. And that's not to knock the pro guys. It's the things that you talk about, the money, knowing that they're the best, right?
We hear you, Jim. You're just saying that Shohei Ohtani gave more of a fuck in that final out than Mike Trout did. I agree, because that's the last time I saw Mike Trout because his ass played 3 games this year. I completely hear you,
no,
brother.
I really do. I watch these guys every weekend in the SEC, and I saw how much it meant. And I don't know, man. I don't see that traditionally in the MLB. So it just feels like it would be different if they got to wear the red, white, blue. I feel like they would give it all. But yes, I think overall what Brooks said in the beginning, it's about the best. And ultimately, I think for the Olympics, they would roll out the best. But it's a fun discussion, and nonetheless, we're going to have it. And that's the best part about it.
And I need Nate, I need that answer, brother. 16-inch slow pitch softball. You want to see Barry Bonds breaking?
Absolutely.
All I need.
No question.
Bro, I don't have much respect for slow pitch softball. Let me explain, Mike. I never played baseball in my life. Straight trash. And I go out there and just hammer home runs because I have a $300 bat and I work out. Like, you
remember earlier, fast forward to 33 minutes into this show, I was talking about the JUCO guys who, never just made it because there's only some, they're smoking too much, drinking too much, whatever.
Right.
That is where 16-inch softball comes into play. This is where all these brothers go. I mean, we just pound a 12-pack right before the game and we just let it rip. It just goes.
And we did that, and I was a phenomenal player, and it makes no sense, Mike, because like I said,
I never
touched a diamond in my life until then.
It seems that's your own.
Now I will say this, guys. I am going to give myself some love on the show for never playing. I held down the hot corner at third as good as you can find. The problem is my arm is garbage, so you had to rely on me still being able to throw the guy out, and that's why I would switch in and out from that position and in the outfield. Because if we were playing a really good team, we weren't going to put me there because I wasn't throwing them out.
Man, see, like I said, man, see, when you a baller, it's a great time. It's just me versus a bunch of 55-year-olds, and I just be going fucking bananas.
Look, I'll end this segment with this, boys. I just know that I got asked to play in a church league where nobody went to church and everybody just wore a church shirt in the slow pitch softball. I heard more language than I'm hearing from you, Mike. Anyway, they called it church league, but it was the most competitive league I've ever been a part of.
I played in a church league. They were like tight about it though. Like I was not asked to come back, but whatever, bro. Like we do what you do. You know what I mean?
All right, so we got to get to what's important, guys. So y'all know how this or that was done on regular and off the bench, but being that we do pros and Joes on here, we've made this or that, but we do it MILB mascot edition because I have started collecting the hats. I'm at 9 now. I think the hats and the mascots and minor league baseball are elite. They're so much fun. And so with that, I'll give y'all 2 options. We'll start with Nate each time, and then Brooks, you pick one or the other. So starting with you, Nate, Storm Chasers or River Bandits?
I like that, River Bandits. That sounds fire to me.
All right.
I'd have to see the hat, see the mascot, whatever it might be.
That's why. So that's something that people have asked. Why not that? It changes the perspective, and I'll explain actually after I ask them all because there's a couple of them that I like the names a lot better on the one, but if you then bring in the mascot, it changes everything. So we'll get to that.
I'm gonna go River Bandits today.
All right, got the cats or the dogs? We got Fisher cats or Sea Dogs?
I'm more of a cat guy, so I'm gonna say Fisher Cats.
See, I'm not gonna follow his lead every time. I'm gonna go Sea Dogs this time.
I just like he's a cat. I'm usually alone in
there. Your own man, Brooks. Life goes on.
All right. And let me say this first one. After going to Montgomery, I love this one. Great mascot. I love the hashtag butter up. Biscuits or the Rubber Ducks?
I'm a Rubber Ducket.
Oh, man. I'm going to go Rubber Duck, too.
Atta boy.
All right. The River Dogs or the Rail Riders?
Rail Riders.
That would make sense for you. I'm gonna go River Dogs.
All right, this is where it gets hard, boys. The Yard Goats or the Mud Hens?
I like that yard goat. That's funny.
Chase
Mud Hen for me.
Dolander sent me the hat autographed, and it's my favorite one. Like the Yard Goat is absolutely elite. Would you end up saying, Brooks?
The Mud Hen.
All right, Trash Pandas or Rumble Ponies?
Rumble Ponies. Go Mets.
Trash Panda.
All right, so this is where it comes to what I was explaining. So Trash Panda is easily the best one, but I wish I had it with me. The Rumble Pony hat is absolutely
so
elite. The
It's
horse
so
with the
sick.
boxing gloves, but the best one of all them is actually Mike. I got to grab it this time. I usually don't bring it.
Did y'all see his underwear? I just saw that shit.
I don't care.
I'm just glad he's not naked.
Oh,
This is
man.
the Lunatics, which is the gotta find the
That's a
camera.
different show.
The Lunatics is the alternate for the Trash Pandas,
Nah, that's tough. That's actually super
and then
tough.
there's the Yard Goat.
That's sick.
That is also tough. I kind of like the first one. It's kind of trippy. I kind of think
Yeah, I'm not a big green.
Oh,
I like the
keep
orange.
messing up.
neither's Brazil, Brooks. It's all good, bro.
Did you really see my underwear? What kind I'm wearing?
Blue. Cubby blue.
Dang, you really did. No, I'm just kidding. They're black. You're lying. Those are my shorts that are blue.
Cubby blue.
But anyway, no. And so I forgot. I had to ask the last one. So y'all said Yard Goats and Trash Pandas? Put them together. I'm trying to figure out.
Brooks said he didn't say yard goats. He said mud hens, if I'm not mistaken.
All right. So Brooks, Mud Hens or Trash Pandas?
I'm gonna follow Mersh with the Trash Pandas.
There you go. He's going with his boy. All right. And so then for you, Nate, it's Yard Goats or Trash Pandas?
Dang. I'll go Trash Pandas. I'll go with the
There it
Merch.
is. But hey, I tell you this because y'all was talking about your boy Mersh.
Wait, I don't even think Nate said trash pandas. Nate was rocking with the
Well,
Mets, wasn't he?
I was with the Rumble Ponies, but
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. My bad. I asked it wrong then. Rubble Ponies or Yard
Because
Goats?
I think Nate's the first person who didn't
Rumble
rock with the
Ponies.
trash pandas.
There we
No,
go.
I know the
But
Rumble
you see the way he
Ponies.
smiled?
I know
He
that
saw the
logo.
hat. He
I
seen
know the
hat
logo.
because he smiled.
Yeah.
The
He knows.
logo's
No, I
sick.
believe Nate. I believe you, brother. He was repping the org. I fucked with it.
Well,
But-
and
but-
it's a fucking Rumble Pony. Like that shit's gonna beat
See,
your ass.
look,
Yes.
another
And you're
person.
even more proud of him because he had language. But no,
So proud of
I'll
him
tell you
right
this about Merce. So I went down to Hunts Madison, Alabama. That's where it is. Anyway, and watch the setup they got there. Dude, they had 8,000 people at a minor league game, and they were doing all these different events, games. They do it the right way, Mike. They make the beer cheap. Like that's always key.
Man.
They had a band up on the upper deck porch or whatever. Like they do it different. Rocket City is so it's a nice place to play, and people want to come watch you there as opposed to the Memphis Redbirds. Like I watched Jonathan Bolin pitch, and there was 12 people there.
Man, you remember when I told you when I worked for the Iowa Cubs, bro? It was me, P. Crow Armstrong, and 5 other people, bro. That shit was horrible, bro.
Hey,
You walked
that
outside, it was
catch he
torn.
made the other night.
Which
Bro.
one? There were so many. He's just fabulous. He's everywhere. Did you know? Fun fact: we try to be educational on pros and Joes and give us a shot. Network 70% of the Earth is covered by water. The other 30% is covered by P. Crow Armstrong. It's just a fun fact. Don't let the get the facts in the way of a good story.
Mike, here's the question I got for you. Before we sign this thing off, are you going to show up to the second episode of the evening with Cal Stark and Dylan Driley? Are you really going to stiff the most outstanding player of the College World Series?
Fuck no. We watching football, but it's okay. I will be there in spirit. We love pros and Joes. I'm always representing. Maybe I'll call in. Maybe I'll FaceTime you when Josh Allen gets me that anytime tutty. Listen, man, you asked me knowing damn well what the answer was. So I mean,
I just thought maybe I could persuade you differently on air. I mean, look how great these guys were. You don't want to do this again today?
Yeah, but those guys aren't these guys.
And by the way, remember why I had to
Damn.
And remember why I had to put 2 episodes in one day. You're the one that ain't had a router all week. It
That's
shouldn't
not
have
my
been
fault.
like this.
That's not my fault.
That is your fault.
Hey, it's really not. I woke up and they were like, "You're done. You don't need internet anymore. You're okay." And I was like, "Okay, like whatever." But Jim, are we good to sign this thing off, or do you have any more this or that's?
Nah, man. Just love you guys as always.
Man, love y'all. I appreciate it. It was great meeting you guys. Feel like I've known you forever. Me and Nate got a sign language thing going on. I'm rocking with it. You can check those guys out on all social media platforms. Please give them a follow and follow their Major League Baseball journey if you haven't already. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already to the Give Us a Shot Network. And of course, In Off the Bench, Pros and Joes. Remember, if you're trying to find the episode, it is not going to be under videos. It'll be under live because we are currently live. I know that was hard for some people. It's hard for myself and Jim. But until then, man, we are back. We are better than ever. We are going to have another show at 9 p.m. Central Time, Jim, if I'm not mistaken.
I might not show up if you're not going to be there.
What?
Hallelujah! Holy shit!
You then, I don't know. But until then, man, appreciate you guys being here. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will be back. Well, Jim will be back later tonight. I know it's hard having two doses of Jim in one day. But I'll be back next week. So we'll check you guys out later. Peace.
Give them a shot to do what?